Yeah, that's what we were told.
It would solve all of it.
Mayor, Council members, Ben Treposis, Northern Regional Director for High Speed Rail. There are two elements, and I will defer to our Deputy Project Manager on the specifics, but it's partly the airport flight path, but we are mandated to stay within existing transportation corridors. There is no existing transportation corridor east of the outlets that would allow us to construct a line along the foothill alignment and then cut back well north. And like virtually every other part of the alignment from San Francisco to Merced, there are trade-offs in terms of the impacts of aligning the route anywhere along the corridor from San Francisco to Merced. So we need to get back to your specific question. We need to get back within the available transportation corridors, in this case, either along 101 or along the Union Pacific right-of-way. So that's why, even if there is an east of downtown station, we have to navigate back to the existing corridors.
The Monterey corridor doesn't conflict with the airport, but the east side of 101 does?
No, sir. The way Don laid it out, the viaduct in the median of 101, adjacent to the airport, hits the airport flight path, flight zone, but not Monterey Highway. And we would be in an embankment along the existing right-of-way, the Monterey Highway corridor.
So, Ben, my question is, the east side of 101, would the east side of 101 be in that cone of silence coming out from the airport?
Yes, and one of our initial alternatives that were looked at now well over 2 years ago included an east side alignment that had the alignment in a trench along the east side of 101. That was withdrawn because of the water impacts that Don identified. The percolation ponds and the water park and the parklands that exist on the east side of 101 get us into that 4F federal regulation that if there's another alternative available, we have to withdraw that particular alignment, which is why we're not pursuing that east of 101 alignment any further.
Okay. I mean, I know we're not drawing lines tonight. I'm struggling with why the east side of 101 is more impactful to the airport than Monterey.
No, it's not at all the airport. Again.
Okay, so I should get off the airport. It's not the airport.
Well, not in terms of that east side alignment. The east side alignment that we had looked at was in a trench along 101, which addressed the airport issue.
Yeah.
So that issue is resolved. The reason that alignment was withdrawn was because of the water and parkland impacts on the east side of 101, which created the federal 4F issue, which requires us to pursue another alternative in the event of those kinds of impacts.
And the water issue that you're talking about is if a trench were built.
No, in any case, a trench, a viaduct, any alignment adjacent to those 4F mandated impacts, if an alternative exists, we need to pursue the other alternative.
And the 4F impact is really our outdoor sports complex and our aquatic center.
Yes, sir, along with the other water impacts.
And I'll bet we could come to an arrangement with the High Speed Rail Authority about how to replace those somewhere instead of building tracks over people's homes. So if the 4F, I just think, I'm just trying to figure out, like you said, Ben, I totally agree with you. There are trade-offs. There are going to be trade-offs in this thing. I get that. So I'm trying to figure out what the right trade-offs for South County are going to be. And if the 4F issue that we keep hearing about is one that, because it's a federal issue, you guys can't even touch it, then how do we help in that conversation? Because it's not a national parkland, it's not even a state parkland, it's a city-owned recreation facility that we have some ability to do some things with, and maybe we could eliminate the 4F problem that we have through a conversation about that. And I've not thought that in the past, or maybe we've not even talked about that in the past, but maybe there's a conversation to be had about that as well, that then opens up.
Well, we've established
Some of the
a terrific relationship with city staff. We're happy to have that conversation. James,
Yeah.
I don't know if you have something to add on that.
Yeah, I do have something to add, and I think this, just to clarify our alignment, our mandate really is to get to San Jose Station and Diridon Station. Morgan Hill is just one piece of this puzzle. So we're looking at Morgan Hill. We're seeing the 4F impact at the aquatic park, but we really have to look at the downstream and the upstream end, the northern and southern limits. Where are we trying to get to? So if you look along the entire project corridor, even if we were to stay on the east side of 101 through Morgan Hill, the question now becomes, well, how do we get to downtown Diridon Station? And so looking at the map, even if you kept on going north through Morgan Hill, you would still have numerous residential impacts as you get into San Jose. And for that reason, our best alignment alternative is down the Monterey corridor.
Okay, so I appreciate that and I get that, but I got to be honest with you. What I just heard you say is you're willing to give up homes in Morgan Hill to save homes in San Jose.
That's not at all
No,
what he said.
it's just there's a
That is
lot
not at
more.
all what he said.
Okay, but you got to think about who your audience, who you're talking to here. I'm a Morgan Hill council member. We're trying to solve Morgan Hill's issues, not San Jose's.
And that's what we're here to try and do. That's not at all what the intention is. Again, it's a trade-off conversation. There are impacts both upstream and downstream.
Yes.
There are impacts to residences and businesses in Morgan Hill, in San Martin, in Gilroy, in San Jose. And we have to balance those along the length of the corridor. And that's really the message here.
And I get that, and I'm not trying to be argumentative, and I apologize if I'm coming off that way. That's why I started this conversation with saying, if Gilroy were to build its station or to suggest and get agreement with the High Speed Rail Authority to build a station on the east side of 101, then shouldn't we be talking about these kinds of trade-offs as we come through the rest of South County? Because it's the upstream, downstream argument. I get it. We know where it's going in San Jose. We know it's going to Diridon. We don't know where it's coming from out of Gilroy yet.
Again, as I mentioned, we have a strong relationship with city staff. We're happy to discuss any element that the city team is willing to bring forth, as they have with Don's presentation here. So we're happy to have that conversation.
And quite honestly, why that is important for us is, if we see in Morgan Hill that a station placement in Gilroy is either advantageous to us or is a problem for us, then we should be engaging our Gilroy friends about where that station should go. But absent having this kind of a conversation, this kind of information, then, so far we're not, I don't know about my colleagues, I'm not lobbying my Gilroy friends as to where the station should go in their community. But if someone told me that a station on the east side of 101 would make for less impacts as it comes through Morgan Hill, then you bet I'm going to start having conversations with Gilroy.
Well, we'd be happy to provide a more detailed response to that specific question.
Okay.
In terms of what those actual impacts would be, assuming, in fact, we can respond to that with either station location. So assuming a downtown station, assuming an east of downtown station, these are the impacts that would be directly affecting Morgan Hill. So we can lay that out for you.
Great, thank you. Hey, and then one last question, Ben, while I have you at the microphone.